This is the Norris Group's Real Estate Investor Radio Show, the award-winning show dedicated to thought leaders shaping the real estate industry and local experts revealing their insider tips to succeed in an ever-changing real estate market. Hosted by author, investor, and hard money lender, Bruce Norris.
Hey everybody, it's Aaron Norris with the Norris Group. Bruce Norris and I are back in the studio with Randy Grigg and Mike Grigg with Elite Auctions this week, continuing our conversation from last week about the auction strategy, how it's changed over time, and we're going to get more into how it changes when you're in a different quadrant here in California, because it does change quite a bit. Well, let's transition into the bus market. So 2007 to 2011, those conversations must have been fun with sellers.
Oh man, that was. That you just brought so many bad memories back, saying that was that date, those years, and
remember we had an auction we attempted to do in Moreno Valley.
Yes,
with really fixed up homes.
Oh, they were maxed out homes.
Yeah, and you could not get the number.
We couldn't get the number to go. You know, we'd have some auctions, might have been, I can't remember. Well, one was really good. I remember in Riverside, I think it was the first one that we did out of the, remember there was a fence there?
It was very, before that bust, it was very like, oh man, we have full confidence going into this that this is going to bring a good price. Now it's a matter of, is a seller going to like it? Because even in that crazy market, sellers had unrealistic expectations of thinking, my house is worth $1 million, and we get to $850.
That was always
and the rest of the house in the neighborhood are selling for $780, and they go, nope, we're not taking that bid. And so I think in all the quadrants you're going to have unrealistic expectations. The sellers, I always feel, are about 6 months to a year behind in what the reality of the market is in their mindset.
And in that,
at least the ones I talked
in California, that's a rough 6 months.
And the way it was changing, it was like month to month or week to week.
Yeah, it was going down 3% a month.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's one of those auctions where everything was done right. There was just, the market was so fearful for people.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't say yes to the answer that came about it. We probably got the right answer. We just we couldn't do it.
Couldn't pull the trigger at that point.
No. But one thing, I don't remember when you guys sold my commercial building, but that was kind of...
I think it was 07.
Okay, that was 07.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really important sale to me, too, because I knew that was going to take a hit. It wasn't the best location.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go hide somewhere and then end up here.
Yeah.
So, that worked out extremely well.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sell that commercial building in the MLS. In other words, I wasn't getting anything.
Yeah, nobody could find it.
And that was pretty good.
It was kind of hit tucked back. I remember
holding a sign out there on the
Van
street,
Buren.
trying to get him to come in.
No, we're back here, I promise.
Remember?
Yeah, I do remember that.
There are some success stories for sure. I remember one, we were heading to boot camp, actually, and Randy had done the sale, and I was involved in teaching, so I couldn't be there anyway. Yeah. So I was like, okay, and I said, well, did it end in a 1? I'm not, start with a 1. I wanted 100 and something, because I was fearful it was going to be less than 100. This was that one in Pomona or something. It was a weird street and all that.
That was,
And
we had a bunch of people.
I know, and then you said it was like 2, and I went, what? I was so happy.
And that's anytime any market and auction can do that and surprise you. I just think a lot of sellers go into it expecting theirs to be that one, and that's just not reality. You have to go into it with a reality mindset. But I think probably 1 in 20 auctions just goes nuts like that and goes haywire, and you don't know why, but it just does. You hit the market at the exact right time with the exact right buyers in it, and it just works.
The only house that sold in the auction that we did was the as-is house.
Yeah.
We didn't touch it. It was about a 3,000 square foot house. Rick Solis happened to find it. We put it in there. We made $100,000 and paid for the mistake.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's like, we're good.
We're good.
You brought up something interesting. Do most auction companies specifically try to target the retail market? And do they typically do that, or do they care?
I would say that most auction companies in California don't deal with the retail market at all, except on the buyer side potentially.
Well, I was going to say, because part of it is an ongoing marketing strategy.
Yeah.
You as the marketing company end up with a list of people who want to buy properties. It would be easier to take the same list and just keep reusing it instead of every time going after retail market. That's all new.
That's exactly true. And most auction companies don't do that. I mean, at least in California. Now, you start moving into different parts of the country where auctions are a very relevant, normal way to sell. There's a lot of ranch properties, small farms. They're sold the auction way. That's the way they do it. and it's very common. And they have an auction section in the paper, so to say. They did, which our paper did not have an auction section for real estate auctions. I mean,
okay.
And it's a more relevant way to sell. People are used to it. They understand it. They buy a lot of different products that way in that part of the country. Out here, not so much. So
okay.
Well, one of the best buys I ever got was an auction. It was, remember the Sunday LA Times? They had that one page.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was all auction. Sometimes it would spill over to 2.
Yeah.
It was little tiny writing, and I mean, I had to really look carefully because every once in a while there was some real estate in there.
Yeah.
And I knew if it was on that page, the person wasn't usually auctioning real estate, and they didn't know what they were doing. And I was all excited.
Oh yeah, those are when you see a poorly marketed auction, go.
Yeah.
That's where well,
go.
Your experience too, and those when you went house to house to house. I think you bought 2 or 3 that day, didn't you?
I bought them all. There was 5 of them. It was a
5 of them.
new builds. And
that was phenomenal.
Well,
you got them.
The ad,
Cool.
They denied they even did in the LA Times. I had to convince them they did, in fact, advertise an auction. When I got there, was no sign that it was for sale.
Wow.
They said they had 2 bedrooms. They had 3. They had $25,000 minimum deposit for $120,000 house. So there's no way they're marketing it to an owner occupant.
You know what?
Wow.
I'm just thinking about this.
Yeah.
I'll digitize that because you recorded the entire thing. And for those of you inside the portal, I will place that video at the end of this so you can watch the whole thing and not have to find it.
Yeah.
That was a happy guy.
I remember that
That's
video.
a good video.
It is a great
That was
video. I
a
remember that
$250,000
video.
day.
Yeah.
And there was like 1 or 2 other guys that were there, right?
Right.
And they were not real strong bidders, as I remember. One guy tried to get you a couple times.
Yeah.
But,
well, actually, it's funny. I bought his. He had a track of homes that he was going to start. He had models, 4 or 5 models, and a year later, I bought his out.
Oh,
he called me
right?
out of the blue. He said,
Serious?
"I have a chance to buy a bunch of lots for a song, but I need to sell." And he didn't make that call because I had seen him there. It just so happened I recognized who he was when we went into escrow. But same thing. He just let him go at half price so he could get to the land.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
You said something interesting that during this cycle, I would have thought you would have said you've been really busy. But during the bust, hard conversations, what do you think technology changed or just people were so unrealistic they just weren't ready?
He forgets, but I forget more than he does. He's forgetting about this. We bought a ton of property, 50 REOs.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's I know.
Just you guys.
I know.
Okay.
We were busy doing that.
And we flipped all those
Oh.
using the auction.
Okay.
So you were flipping
we were
your own
buying
stuff.
a lot of the stuff at auction too. At
we bought at REDC at the time they were
which is auction.com now.
Right.
And
And we
Williams
flip
and
them with
Williams
our
and,
auction.
Hudson Marshall.
Using our so we always like to call us a retail auction company.
Okay.
And REDC at the time was a wholesale auction company.
Okay.
So we would buy from the wholesale auction company, fix it up, sell it with the retail auction
So
company.
you were your best client.
We were.
We'd sell them
It wasn't-
3 or 4 at a time.
Yeah.
Too. Remember the
Oh,
most
yeah.
part? We'd have 4 houses on
Because
there.
of the marketing costs at the time.
And we'd do them all at the house. We never did them all together. We'd go house to house to house.
Oh.
Absolutely. Front yard on the lawn.
10 a.m., 12 p.m., and then we go like 2 and then 4.
Yep. Every 2 hours.
And we did that several times.
Did many days like
Where
that.
would you make people stand? I'm just curious. Are they outside in the front, imagining themselves
Usually
walking
they're
through
outside in
door?
the front. Usually. Now, if you're on like a beachfront type property, you'd put them where they can see the beach.
Okay, touche.
Yeah, but most of the houses were done on the front yard, lawn, or whatever. It wasn't,
We were busy.
Yeah.
We were actually busy during that down period because we were flipping them even in a bad market.
I know.
And
It
we
just
were
wasn't
selling
with
them.
other clients.
We fixed a lot of them.
Right.
Interesting.
We got a lot of calls. It wasn't lack of call. Our phone was ringing off the hook to do auctions, but the sellers were not qualified. Because they
That's great. So you denied quite a few people.
We had learned by that point. We're done doing practice auctions. If it's not a good deal, we're going to pass on it. It's too much work to get to that 30 days later of after open houses and marketing and putting all this effort into it, traveling a lot of times to the auction, to the open houses, and then getting to the day and not having a sale and having a great sale where you have 15 bidders show up and selling for what we believe is the real price. And if we missed the mark, we were always honest, say, I think we missed it on this, but most of the time we hit that comp number. And then having the seller say, well, I can't take that, or I'm not going to take that. It's not high
And the
enough.
disappointed.
And the disappointment.
Yeah.
It was just it was an emotional roller coaster for us. So we said, let's start buying we have these opportunities to buy these, and we'll sell our own stuff at auction just because we like doing auctions. It was
Probably
fun.
80% of the houses that we sold were ours,
Wow.
I would say. Well,
Wow, I
we sold
had no
for
idea.
Bruce, and we sold for some other people, obviously, but mainly ours. Yeah, we did it for us. We were
Okay.
selfish. We thought it-
Around that time, REDC became auction.com. Was technology changing quickly that changed the business a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, they went from. I don't know if anyone remembers. I know you guys remember, but they did they'd rent out a whole convention center, and there'd be 500 people there, 1,000 people, 1,500 people bidding on a lot of properties, in a general county or area.
They'd have 500 houses and 500 people.
Yeah.
One bidder per house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
they're all bidding.
That's where a lot of
several
that shill bidding or running the bid would happen, just because they had to have it. They didn't have the support.
Yeah.
So they went from having that to like completely online now almost. I mean,
Right.
I don't think they do really live auctions at all anymore unless it's a real unique property.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they've captured the trustee sale business too.
Absolutely.
In many places.
Yeah, haven't they?
And they've done a really good
Bakersfield,
job
they do all
with
of
it too,
Bakersfield, I think,
with that
most of
trustee
them.
sale.
And you just spoke last night in San Diego, and they were talking about counties and cities starting just to do it all online.
The tax
because,
sales.
Yeah, the
Oh,
tax
the tax
sales.
sales.
Yep.
Yeah, because they had
Okay.
foreign bidders,
Oh.
13
Oh, yeah.
countries,
Yeah.
30 states.
Oh, wow.
It no longer was a local auction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course
So it
not.
opens it up
Yeah.
to a
Kern
lot more
County,
people.
where Bakersfield is, has been doing online
Yeah.
the tax
For a
sales for a
while.
long time. This
Yeah.
is ever since I remember.
Oh, wow.
So they said it was the most successful auction they ever had. So they'll just do it that way from now on.
Well, the overhead is not there when you just list it online and you have bidders and it's working. Why would you rent out a convention center and bring staff and all that stuff if you don't need to?
I guess this is a question about marketing overall. It's just, the papers are hurting so much. I'm surprised in the trustee sale process as well. There's still, the cost for doing foreclosures has gone up to like 2% of the sale price, just because the paper has gotten a lot more expensive, but it's also gotten a lot less effective. At what point do we have to stop marketing, or the expectation of advertising in papers and things like that? I don't know.
I think now.
I don't think
wouldn't-
anybody would be too concerned about that, because, I mean, anybody with experience, like I don't run an ad that I buy houses in a newspaper anymore, because
Yeah.
you think, okay, no one's looking at that.
Yeah.
And I would think the same way. If you came to me and says, okay, we got an $8,000 budget, we're going to spend it on the newspaper, I would go next.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's not what
It
we
sounds insane now, which is crazy because not that much many years ago it was an effective tool, and it just sounds crazy now when people even say the word newspaper. I'm like, those still exist? I mean, my generation. I mean,
What city do you live in?
newspapers like that thing that you see on the internet that people use to paint on.
There
like
are
you
old
need
people like
something-
me, though, that still read the paper, believe it or not. And I always say, a nice classified, or not classified, but a display ad in the paper. You guys are looking at me like, what is
No,
he talking about? Not in the real estate section, but I'm talking about near the front, not on the front. It's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But as you open that paper, old people, old people,
Mm-hmm.
kids
Yeah.
want to buy a house, go to the auction, I'll front you the money. I found the ad, let's do it.
I don't know. It
would
sounds
put-
insane to me. I don't know.
I might put, I don't know, maybe not, but I'd try it at least. I'd try to display it. It wouldn't be a full page, but it'd be maybe a quarter page.
Do you see the auction business as a tool to still find wholesale deals, or mostly now to retail stuff?
That's a good question, because I haven't really been a buyer. I can't answer that right now on what I think. I would definitely go to like they had the lawn auctions that
Williams and Williams.
Williams did.
Yeah.
I would definitely attend those auctions, because I would always be thinking like Bruce, that you did that, and we had these happen. Remember?
Oh yeah,
We had it.
we
where
bought a lot of stuff from Hudson and Marshall and Williams. and Williams.
there'd be there 3-4
Yeah.
people would be at the auction, and we'd be the winning bidder, and we said, they're not going to accept this. It's too low.
Yep.
Mhm.
Come back, accept it. Especially Williams and Williams. They were good about that.
They were pretty transparent.
Very few times did they.
It's
say
a good
no,
point.
They didn't accept.
I'm so glad we're bringing this up, because what auction company was it calling back, and they would try to renegotiate the sale price after
yeah.
the sale had happened.
Yep.
And so I think we'd sent out a press release telling investors not to do it, because they're bluffing, and it's the wrong precedent to set.
And
don't do it. And
That's
then-
completely true. What
Right.
you just said.
That's what
Never
I,
do it, because
that's what I told Greg. I mean, we had been the winning bidder like on 4 or 5 houses, and they were trying to renegotiate after the fact. I said, you can't do that, because they're going to enter something in a computer that's you said okay to that, and we'll never buy one at our number. Ever.
Sucker.
That's true.
So you
Check
can't
mark.
do that.
Exactly.
And
We had that happened to us too, where they'd call us and say, well, we're about 5,000 away from where we need to be. You think we can make that happen? We'd say, nope, next. And then, okay. And then next day they call you and say, we got them to accept that. And I think that was already there, and they were trying to eat more money out of it.
No, really, you get rid
a lot of times they call back and say, we got them to. I mean, how many did we buy? Where I'm like, man, we just bought that for like 65%.
I know.
Wow.
And I'm like, there's no way that they're going to accept it. And then
how about Hudson and Marshall? Remember?
Well, that's what I mean. Those are the ones I'm thinking.
No, the ballroom. They had little mini hotel options.
And there was
we bought all three. Remember the three houses that were there? There was like maybe
5 bidders? 4
or 5 bidders in there. So we know we got a chance at this. We ended up getting all 3 of them.
Wow.
All 3. Right there. One was, they were all different. We didn't care. It's a house, Remember the one, how bad it was?
So
still a good deal.
Oh, you did.
So quadrant 3 is when we're going into sort of recovery mode. We've hit the bottom and it's sort of flattening out. So a year like 2012. And you said that was probably the last year you did an auction for another retail client or for yourself?
Retail client. Well, it was for an investor client that it was a flip.
What changed around that time that you're just like, never mind?
Us.
Oh, you guys? Okay.
I would say us.
Yeah.
Auction works in any market. But
this guy right here, he had to do all the work. I mean, when it come right down to it, he had to deal with all these buyers and sellers, and he, because he's a broker, and he had to talk. And I said, good, I don't want to get my license. Don't get me involved in this. And so I would just stay quietly and do the marketing, on the side. But Mike came and says, I don't know, this is a lot of work for not a lot of money. And I said, I understand, and I'm getting sort of burned out myself,
Okay.
So let's just call it good, and you went into the charity office.
And we had our other partner, Connie, and she kind of was on board with us with that decision too. We all just were burned out. Yeah. And it was not because of the auction process. It was fun. Okay. We loved that business, and I wouldn't trade any part of those years of doing it. But it's exhausting. It's exhausting to do all that work, get to the good price and have a seller say no, it's no go. It's a lot different than if you just have a listing and you get an offer and they deny that. That's no big deal. You go to the next person.
Well, and starting in this market, it might get a little bit more exciting on the retail side. The conversation with the sellers might not be as bad. Maybe they'll be more realistic. I think when we had the first couple years of Ice Drive Real Estate, Tommy Williams, co-founder of Williams & Williams, he was a big advocate of short sale auctions. He didn't understand, like during the downturn, why people weren't doing short sale auctions and using the auction method to get rid of that process sooner instead of having to go through the REO process.
He's correct, yeah.
That never really picked up steam, which I'm surprised.
Nope.
I'm trying to think of any other questions during this phase.
It's a short phase.
Yeah, it is. It's really
very
short.
Yeah.
So now we're back in a boom market. So quadrant 4, so 2013 to now. What are you seeing in the auction industry? How has it changed from the last boom?
Technology is a big one.
Technology,
The auctions that you see now are primarily done online. As far as real estate goes, and across the board, really, in the auction business, everyone switched to online. There's old hat auctioneers that have been doing it for years that they're working with their kids now, and their kids said, Dad, we need to shift the gears here. We can bring in buyers from Europe that are going to bid on stuff, and whereas before we just had this small radius of people that would attend all of our auctions, and these old hat auctioneers have let their kids kind of prove it to me, and that's it's success story after success story. It works. Now, with a retail auction, like I said, those people need more hand-holding because they're going to be moving in there. They've never maybe purchased a house, or it's their second house purchase, and they're super nervous. I still think a live auction on the lawn at the house would work.
Are realtors more accepting in the process and more willing to participate, or no?
I don't. I don't think it'll be any different than what it was. We paid a commission.
We put it in MLS too, which most of the auction companies
did not
back then didn't do. And
that's
where you draw the volume of people that we had. 74 people at one of our Arcadia auctions. Wow, $40,000 you had to bring just to be a bidder. We had $3 million of cashier's checks.
Party.
Yeah.
I mean, big time. Yeah, big time. Anyway, remember that? And it was...
I'll never forget that. That was fun. That was a fun one. That was the biggest crowd we ever had at a single-family house on the lawn. I mean,
74 bidders?
And that's 74 bidders. And, bidders usually come in 2s and 3s. The kids come with them, or the wife, or the husband. So, I mean, imagine 74 times, let's just multiply it by 2. You got 150 people in this front yard.
People at our open house. I mean, we had them like down the street lined
Had
up.
to get new carpet after the open house.
Oh, yeah.
And the seller was a retailer, and he had this new wood floor in there, and he says, I don't want
any shoes.
So we had to give him little booties to go in there. And so every person waiting in line to go into the house to look at it.
We had 2 people just sitting at the front door with a box of those throwaway booty things.
Oh my!
Putting booties on people's feet because this guy insisted that nobody walk in that without either socks or these booties on.
That could still happen in today's market, believe it or not. You could do an auction like that, and you could have the same type of turnout.
We would do an auction like that too if we got the right call, and we still get calls, to do auction, but it better be a slam dunk if we're going to act on it at this point. We're not out of the real estate auction business. We're just at the point where bring us a slam dunk deal and we'll do it.
Right.
Do you see the auction? There's been a lot of changeover. So I've been following the auction industry since I came on board in 2005, and the list has changed by half. So I used to follow. Once upon a time, the National Association of Realtors was putting out like the auction MLS.
Yeah.
That they're not doing that anymore. No. A lot of companies has merged. Are you still involved in the associations at all?
Oh yeah.
What's the talk? What's going on in the auction industry?
We actually are. We list and sell a lot of our stuff now. We're starting to sell a lot of the stuff we bought and held for other investors about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and we've held them.
Bought a whole bunch of them, and we leased them back, and now we're starting to sell off a few here and there.
Okay, not by auction, just list and sell.
We just right now we're just and they don't want to do an auction. No. We might do one, but they don't want to do it, and they own the property, so we have to do what they say.
Okay.
So Mike gets a listing on that, and the market right now in Bakersfield is really hot, especially between like 150 and 250. Mm-hmm. I mean, you sell them, if they're nice, you'll get multiple offers.
Okay. We just did highest and best on the last one we sold. We had so many offers on it in a 2-day period of time. Believe it or not, we did a highest and best. In Bakersfield.
All right.
It's hard to find stuff as investors in Bakersfield right now to flip just because there's so much activity, in that price range.
If you were looking for a deal, where would you go in the auction world to try and find one today?
I think if you could find, and I don't know if this even exists so much anymore, but those individual houses that are sold, on the grass with an out-of-state company. When an out-of-state company that doesn't know the market in the area, even an out-of-city company can be beneficial as far as getting the property cheaper.
I'd go all day long to those auctions. Yeah. Anytime they had one, I would be there.
Also, out of product type. In other words, you could have an auction company that really auctions businesses that are out of business and restaurants, and all of a sudden somebody they know says, I've got a house.
Oh, yeah.
That's really ideal.
You're going to steal that 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
You really are. And I like my odds at an out-of-state auction company coming in to do 1 house or 2 or 3 houses in an area, and that's what our bread and butter. We made our bread and butter during that time.
We bought a lot of them.
Buying houses that way.
Yeah.
You said financing has really changed from the boom. So what does the boom in 2005 compared to now?
Dodd-Frank.
Dodd-Frank.
So that changed your assurance and the crowd's assurance that they could finance what they were bidding on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now you really have a much more educated buyer in the sense that they know the drill that they're going to go through, and if they're hesitancy, they probably aren't bidding, because then at the auction, you're leaving a deposit at risk.
Yes, they are.
That's very true.
Yeah, so that's another thing. An auction was great because when you got a sale, there's a pretty healthy deposit that was forfeited if it didn't close.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have this week to cover this specific buying strategy. For those who are subscribers, the entire interview is going to be in the portal under the Buying Systems chapter, so you can check it out there. If people want to get a hold of you, you're still doing charity auctions, correct?
Yeah, no, we do. I'm doing about 50, 60 fundraising auctions a year now, all over California and out of state even sometimes, so mostly California. And I just love the auction business. I don't care what segment of the auction business I'm in, and it just kind of fell in my lap, and it's developed it, and it's gone nuts. There's just a high for me of getting on stage and doing the auction. That's my favorite part, and I'll do whatever it takes to stay in that business, even if it means selling stuff I otherwise would not have any interest in. I'll create an interest. But yes, that we have a website for that. It's elitefundraisingauctions.com. We still do have our website for the the real estate auction. We're not opposed to doing real estate auctions, but it has to be a slam dunk, and that website's auctionca.com.
For more information on hard money loans and upcoming events with the Norris Group, check out thenorrisgroup.com. For information on passive investing with trust deeds, visit tngtrustdeeds.com.